Hi guys, welcome to XtraTalk. We had to throw it on a Friday, waiting for the transfer window to end, especially for our club guys. It's been a crazy window. We are going to talk about the window. I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. How would you rate this window? That's also something that we should look at. A lot of players left. We signed a lot of players as well. Some players didn't leave. They wanted to leave. They didn't show up on training. We will touch upon that as well. Before we do, shout out to our viewers, to our community. Give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Give us a like if you enjoyed the panel today. Ajax, PapiMento, Sahbi, welcome.
Hi guys.
Thanks for having us, bro.
So
yeah, you guys look a little bit deflated after the window. So I don't know if that's the feeling right now, but Ajax, how do you feel?
Oh, bro, I might not seem that energetic, but I'm so freaking happy that this freaking transfer window is finally done. Because it's such a headache for us Ajax fans. Every time we have to cope with the rumors and the players going away, and enough is enough, you know. How many players can we handle leaving? I think 5 of our starters left. That's a bitter pill to swallow. So I'm so happy that this effing transfer window is behind us now. So looking forward to there's the regular season again without all these side things.
PapiMento, you have the same feeling about this window, or do you want to add something to that?
I think it was one of the most frustrating windows I have ever witnessed. So many starters left us, Juan. I mean, I'm just happy it's over. I can't get fully excited yet because some of the players we bought, you know, like Ocampos, Grealish, I haven't seen them enough, and I don't know. I'm not excited yet, you know, to see. I'm just excited for the game to see, okay, what kind of players did we get in? But the excitement is not there yet, and I only have the disappointments and of all those players that left. So, yeah, it's kind of a frustrating window for us. I don't think it's ever been this frustrating, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen both of them play. I'm going to be very honest as well. So we will try, of course, do the same that we did with the other signings. Let's see if we can get some people in to talk about those players. Maybe we'll have more insight. But also maybe we will see them play in the coming weeks. So let's see. Sahbi, welcome, man.
Good, man.
So also for you, the same question, you know, about how you feel about the window. But I also want to ask you something else as well. Do you think this window was also more extreme, like Ajax said, because of Ten Hag going to United and United chasing our players?
Yeah. To start with, as Ajax said, man, I'm quite happy, very happy. This is over. This is really being a roller coaster thing. I mean, happy, then not, and then frustrated, and then angry, all together. And it was really frustrated, just as PapiMento said. So happy I'm done with that. We'll see it later in about 6 months, but for now, okay. And with regards to the Ten Hag shizzle, yeah, of course. I mean, Ten Hag knows him, knows the players. He knows their strength. He knows their weaknesses. We also the kind of players he wanted to bring in. It worked with Anthony. It worked with Martinez. It didn't work with Brobbey, Timber, etc. I mean, you could name all the players of Ajax. He tried them all. So yeah, of course that played a role.
Yeah. You know what's funny though, because I was smiling inside a little bit. We're getting a lot of like mixed reactions also on Twitter from the United fans, you know. Some of them are saying like prison FC or these kind of things, you know, like we're
Chelsea fans are doing that.
Also, or you know that meme with the flag, like free Anthony, free Alvarez going through Twitter space. And also what else did I hear? Hostage FC. Also, I heard that one. But in all fairness, guys, we also heard a couple of other, especially United fans. There are a lot of them that also feel a little bit, you know, thankful. They're really thankful for having our players, and they also feel a little bit like, you know, humble in the sense that they're saying sorry for pillaging your club like that, you know. So where do you guys stand on that? Is it just a part of the game, part of the football community? What do you think, Ajax?
I think, you know, when you're on Twitter, you get to have to cope with trolling fans, and especially those fans come out to post like Ajax posts, you know, on Twitter, like ventilating their frustrations there, just trying to make banter. But we know, because we did a lot of collaboration with Man United channels also, and spoke with a lot of Man United fans last year. There are a lot of other fans with different opinions than them, you know. So it's just a small group of the total population of fans. So I just laugh about it. I try to laugh about it, because if I just go and ventilate my opinion and make it a discussion, it's not good karma, man. I just try to wish all the best and hope best for our club, and think the best thing is to laugh about it and see the banter in it.
Yeah. Do you agree, PapiMento? Same?
Yeah, same. I mean, look, Ajax is a selling club. I mean, we can talk about how big our club is, but when those big amounts come in, we are a selling club, and we let our players go. How many times have we rebuilt our team already? That's a normal way of living for an Ajax fan. So I'm used to it, to be honest. I can't even get mad anymore if players want to leave. I understand for them it's a stepping stone, even though it hurts me in my heart that they think of my club like that. I know that we wouldn't have those amazing players if they didn't see our club as a stepping stone. So it also comes with a very good positive, you know?
Yeah, but this was a bit extreme, right?
Yeah.
This was a bit extreme.
Yeah, but it started with Bayern Munich already, Sahbi. I mean, Mazraoui, Gravenberg gone to Bayern, and then all the English Premier League clubs came.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it even got worse.
Yeah, the first one is, of course, because he was a free agent, Mazraoui. So that could occur to any club where he would go, where he would be going. But indeed, it's ridiculous. And yeah, at the end, money talks. That's basically the conclusion at the end. And of course, rioting, refusing, etc.
But I have to be honest, Juan, one thing to add. What does annoy me sometimes is just the behavior of people dropping, "You're a selling club," blah, blah, blah. And this annoys me. This annoys me a bit, because if you look at the history, and I know the history is the history, a lot more respect should be there, because we have a richer history in the Champions League, I believe, by memory, than Manchester United, for example. So I respect them, and I respect the club. But for Champions League, and do not know how many clubs in England can say the same besides Liverpool and maybe Chelsea. I don't know how much Chelsea has. But a little bit more respect could be in place, in my opinion, sometimes.
For me, it's not even about that, Champions League and stuff, because we're now in a new era and it's harder for us to compete with the big boys. But for me, it's, if you're really truly a football fan, you can like or dislike a club, but you cannot bypass the fact that Ajax has really had an impact and a footprint on football history, and even to this day. So, but we know this. A lot of fans know this as well. Some fans try to be maybe trolling, like what you said. But I wanted to touch about what PapiMento said and go a little bit slightly into a deeper discussion, because he mentioned the selling club. That's also something that we hear and we read a lot on Twitter, and people saying that from outside looking in. If you say that, and we are, to a certain extent, we have to sell our players because we're a stepping stone, I agree. But if you say out loud that you're a selling club, then all the other fans and other clubs think, okay, you know what? You have to sell your players because we're coming with a good bid. Why aren't you selling? So then what happens now lately, fans do not understand, like, listen, we're offering 50 million for Alvarez. Why aren't you saying yes to it? They don't understand, because in their mind, what you guys are playing in a farmers league, and you guys can just sell your best players. What's wrong with that? You guys can get 50 million, go buy another player. So what do you have to say about that? Let me go with Sahbi on this one.
No, I don't agree with that. With the selling club, if you look at it, we're a business, because we are a listed company. Ajax is a listed company, but nonetheless, we are not. It's not about the financial success that we need to have. It's also about the sporting success that we need to have, and we have done that in recent years. Starting from 18-19, we did well, except of course in the Europa League the year after, I think. But we're doing well, so there is no need to sell. People might call us, or fans might call us, a selling club, but that was years ago. Now we are healthy. And of course, we need to develop players. to sell them. We need to buy players from a cheaper price, and then at the end sell them because the players themselves want to have a new challenge, going to a bigger league, and so on and so on. But we should not forget that we are a club as well. We can compete as well with the bigger clubs. So why do we have to sell all our key players at once? Of course, key players, we need to sell key players, but not in such an extreme way like we did this season. It's just not done.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry.
Go
No,
ahead.
I just wanted to say I totally agree that it's not normal what happened in this transfer window, but it's also the reality that Huntelaar goes on Rondo and says, yeah, everyone has a price. And it's also a reality that almost every team has an ex-Ajax player that eventually played at Ajax. I mean, look only at United, okay? Eriksen has Ajax DNA. Donny van de Beek is there. Martinez now. Anthony. All ex-Ajax. I mean, we can say we're not a selling club and we have our own ambitions, but when the right price comes in, we don't say not for sale. So the same way that I think Atletico did that for João Felix, right? 135, they declined it. Ajax will never do that. So why is it wrong to say we are a selling club? I don't understand.
Yeah,
hold on, just a minute before Ajax, you react on that. I wanna make a distinction between a couple of things, just to structure the discussion a little bit, also for our viewers. I agree with Sahabi to a certain extent that we are in a different stage as a club compared to a couple of years ago, but we still have to sell every summer. Not a lot anymore, but it's also because we are getting a lot of money, but our budget has inflated. Our salary cap has gone up. We are paying a lot more for transfers as well. So we need to sell as well to keep that up, to compete with the big boys also in the Champions League, to meet our ambitions. At the same time, I would like to say to PapiMento that, there are a lot of ex-Ajax players going, etc. But here comes the real thing, and I want Ajax to react on that first. We know what the club is doing, but a player coming in still sees Ajax, like we said, as a stepping stone. So if they come, they're thinking 2-3 years. If everything turns out well, I can go to a bigger league. That's the dream, basically. It's not normal. Let's be honest. It's not normal. A lot of fans say that if you're really good, you don't stay at Ajax for a lot of years. Let's be honest. True. It's not the healthy way of, building up your career. So what do you have to say about that, Ajax, and how you want to react on PapiMento and Sahbi as well?
First of all, you said a lot of things that I wanted to say also. Exactly the same words. What I wanted to say was the keywords here are to a certain extent. We are a selling club to a certain extent. If we reach our quota and the money comes in that we need to balance the books, then we do not need to sell anymore. So it's not we're a selling club all the time. No, to a certain extent. And people need to get that into their heads that, yes, some teams are so lucky that they are in the Premier League, they will still get their ass kicked by Ajax. Like the lower tier teams, they won't win. But they get so much TV revenue and TV money each season. It's hard for us to compete with that. So we have to be creative. And Ajax is known for their creativeness throughout the decades. And this is also something I'm proud of, because you can be a Newcastle United, the newest club with a lot of money, just bring in a new owner, buy a lot of players. This is what football is nowadays. We do it our own way. We are the owners of our own club. We have some stocks, but I believe we have 70% still of the stocks in our own hands as a club. So this is something that we can be proud of. So everybody can say you're a selling club to a certain extent. Yes, you're right. But I'd rather be a selling club with an ambition, with a philosophy behind it, with a track record for decades, than being a buying club, just buying players that are exciting at the moment, spending 100 million there. This is no identity. Look at the clubs in England, how many self-educated players are in the most of the teams at the moment. I do not know all the track records, but for example, at United, you have a few, but at Chelsea, how many players are there from their own academy? I think Ajax will always have more players from their own academy or educated ones than they have in England, and I'm proud of that. So if that makes us a selling club, so be it, but to a certain extent. And people have to accept if we say no, we might have a reason for not saying no, but we're not stupid. If a club offers us 100 million, although we met our quota, it's a possibility that we say yes, because it's a crazy amount of money, and it can help balance the books the next year that we have to sell less players maybe if we do well in Europe. So that was my little rant about what we said with PapiMento and Stachby, what I had to add. And your second question was, Juan, about help me here.
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot of things, to be honest, and I wanted to react a little bit also what you said.
Okay,
just to give an example for our viewers as well. I think the Ajax fans already know this, but just as an example, we get like almost more or less 9 million in TV revenues for being number one in the league, right? The best performing club.
Yeah.
We spend like 10 or 11 million yearly on the youth academy. So it doesn't even cover our expenses just for the youth academy, you know, just to be clear on this. But yeah, it's a model that we have, and you know, we will keep doing this. This is what we are known for. We're also proud to be like that. It's not like we're how do you call it? We're being pushed to do it. No, it's what we want to do as well. You know. But I want to move away from this, you know, and I want to move a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to add something though, Juan, because I do think selling club and a farmers league are two totally separate things. And I wanted to say, if you look at how Martinez is doing there, how Malasha is doing there now at United, and playing, I mean, even player of the month, Martinez, then how can you pronounce the word Farmers League? We have amazing players, and you see how many, if you scout the right way, how much talent there is in the Eredivisie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I agree. Look, let's move to the other topic. I want to move more to, like I said in the beginning of the video, I want to talk a little bit about the transfer window. I want you guys to rate it. Give me a, you know, like a rating from 1 till 10, 10 being the highest, of course. And also, if you could describe this transfer window in 1 or 2 keywords for you, what would it be? Let me go with PapiMento first.
Yeah, this frustrating. Frustrating transfer window. That's the word. Must be, because I haven't been down so many times in a transfer window as this one. So yeah, it was a hard one, but I also think that Hamstra, you know, they are new, not very experienced in their position yet. I think they had a lot to do to replace the players we lost. So I'm actually in awe of what they did, and I have much respect for all the players they brought in, because Bassi, we've seen him play, I think is an amazing player. Conceição, a talent, only 5 million. That's good dealings. And yeah, I mean, the other players, we still have to see the level of it, but I think we did good to set up a team. I think we're lacking a little bit in creativity, but I will give this transfer window a 9.
A 9. Let me ask you another question. A 9. Oh, here we go. Let me ask you another thing also before I go to the other. To the other, they're gonna react.
Let them react. But that's my opinion.
You keep me off guard with these remarks every time. Last week's PapiMento. Why are you being so positive all of a sudden? I was expecting a 6 for you at most.
Just check in how many players we got and how many players we've lost, and then you see what a busy period it has been for such inexperienced technical team. And I think we should be proud that they did this in their first window, and this can only be better the next couple of windows. But this is the standard I expect from now.
If you're not careful, I'm going to dub you Mr. Positive from now on, from our side, you know, because this is something else. Yeah. Something else.
I'm positive about this. I'm not positive about our supervisory board, though.
We will touch upon that in a bit as well. PapiMento, one more question that I want to add. I didn't mention this, but I also want the others, Sabi and Ajax, to react on that. Do you think, if you compare this team, this squad with last season, you know, and of course there are players that has to start and develop, but now, looking at it from now, do you think in terms of strength and how good we are in terms of quality, are we at the same level? Are we better? Are we a little bit less? What's your view on that?
There are too many unknown factors for me to say that for certain, but I will say maybe the same or less. But I'm leaning more towards less, because I think we're missing creativity. I think I said that to Ajax just now before we started. I feel like we're missing creativity. I mean, if you look at what we brought in, Bassi, not very creative. Sanchez, not very creative. Krilic, not very sure in how he plays, but I've been told he's more of a Busquets kind of type, so a defensive midfielder. Not sure how many creativity you can expect from that. And Ocampos, I hear he's also more of a worker than a creative person for the wing position. So I think, and the team is also not gelling 100% at the moment, like we did last year with our pairing of Anthony and Nazraoui. Sometimes it was brilliant how we did the build up. So I think we're less, and I think this is just a rebuild season. I think I said that also on Twitter. I see this as a rebuild season. This team has to come together in a certain way, and it's going to take a while before Schreuder finds the key. Because
wait a minute. If it's a rebuild season for you, do you expect less performance as well? Would you be okay with that? Let's say in Europe.
I think I'm leaning more towards the Europa League, what you said, than that we survived the Champions League at the moment with this team.
Here we go. He's not that Mr. Positive.
Weren't you the guy that said with the predictions last time that we would finish first in the group as the only one?
Yeah, I said that, but I didn't think all those things would happen in the transfer window last moment.
Yeah. Let me go with Sabri because he was the first one to burst into laugh when he heard the number 9 grade. Rating. Go ahead.
I'm still laughing because PapiMento just mentioned becoming third and so on, but he gave a 9 as a grade. It's a bit contradicting, but okay, let's move on. Now, from my side, I would say I would give it a 7.5 because I'm quite satisfied with how the transfer window went, taking into account several factors, a new technical management, like if you can call it management, with Hamstra and Huntelaar. We got a new coach. And we almost replaced all the players that left, but we still don't know how good the replacements are. Just as PapiMento said, the right back Sanchez, we still don't know how he plays, what his level is. The same applies for Grealish, although he was bought as a backup for Alvarez. So I think that's a very good thing. That was one of the reasons why I gave it a 7.5. Bessie is doing excellent as far as I could see these last games. The only negative point is the Ocampos part, because if I have to compare Anthony with Ocampos, it's a decrease. I think you all agree with me on that. Bergwijn he's a way better player than Haller football wise. We could put Bobby then in the center. So everything gelled well if you look at it. Van Dal as a replacement for Tagliafico. So he's an international. He's a good player. So a lot of changes were made by Ajax in a good way, except for the right wing position. So I will give it a 7.5. But if I look at how this transfer window went, in terms of negotiations, in terms of how the players were, in terms of the miscommunication internally, I would definitely give it a 2 or a 3.
You're referring a little bit more to the end of the transfer window, right? With the Ocampos deal, the goalkeeper of Benfica not coming through, being blocked by the supervisory board. You're referring more to these
mainly because of that, indeed.
Yeah, and if these things would not have happened for you, it would have been a higher rating?
It would definitely be a bit higher, but I'm comparing two separate things now.
Okay. And one more question. Where do you stand in terms of the level of this team squad compared to last season?
I think the squad of last season is stronger, and it has to do with, indeed, all the different players that came in. From an individual perspective, so like per individual, you only got Bergwijn, who really exceeds the level than his procedure, Haller. But if you look at Martinez, who was great, Bessie,
he doesn't play on the position. Okay.
No, not on his position, but he was, in my view, he was bought because Haller would move. Otherwise, it would be too crowded. If you got Haller, Bergwijn, Tadic, Anthony, and so on, one of those players would have to leave either way, and it was Haller. So in that sense, there is a shift in quality in a positive way. Bessie is doing excellent, but I need to see whether it's structurally or not, because Martinez was so great season in, season out. And yeah, Wijndal known for his game. So eventually the players that came in are okay, but we still need to see. But if you compare with last season, where we really had key players on every line, every in midfield, etc. As a team, I think we were stronger last season.
Okay, yeah, we'll see. Ajax, take it away.
My keywords are extremely frustrating because of the
To an
roller
extent.
coaster. Yeah,
To an
no,
extent.
not. I could only give 2 words, bro. So extremely frustrating. My rating for the season is a 7. This has to do. It can grow into an 8, but it has to do with one factor. We also got a new coach. He's also part of this transfer summer because we attracted a new coach, and I'm a little bit afraid that he takes his time to see what kind of players we also have that can bring creativity. Because we also have Mohamed Kudus that we now kept at the club. That is a player that can bring creativity. But if you keep choosing for klaas-jan and giving him his minutes, then you will have problem with increasing the creativity within your squad. klaas-jan is not that type of player. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm saying he's a different kind of player. And the players that left at our club were a lot of players had that creativity. So you have to solve it with the players within the squad. And I have to agree with Sahbi. I have my doubts with Ocampos. I wish him all the best and I hope he comes through for us. But he's not a kind of player that Anthony is. So you will have to get it from different positions than from example, the Anthony position. So a player like Kudus, for example, can bring that creativity. He is one of the few players that can pass a direct opponent, make a dribble, play the combination football, make a 1-2, make those runs into the box. And I know there are a lot of fans also not liking him because he doesn't do his defensive part. To all those fans, I understand what you're saying, but then you have to look at the bigger spectrum here also. Blind also has a lot of flaws, and we always only hear, but his passing is so great. Okay, maybe Kudus has some flaws also. He has to work on it, but he also has great qualities also. So let's be positive also towards him and look at those qualities, what he can bring to the team. So that is what I want to react on PapiMento with the quality missing now in the team or lower than last season. I think we have those qualities, but to be from a 7 that I gave now to go to an 8, it has to do with the coach. And the coach is also a new, fresh face within the club now. He has to make the sensible decisions now. If he does that, I think we will have a quality team. But it's up to him to find the right puzzle pieces to solve the puzzle. And although we won 4 times, it doesn't look flawless yet, like it's clicking already. So hopefully he will find the answer soon.
All right, that's clear, guys. It's very clear. I want to end this video basically quickly, just touching upon, you guys mentioned a little bit briefly on the mechanics of our board and the technical manager, or like they say in Dutch, technische hart. So basically, we have a technical management. It's with the Hamstra Huntelaar, the director of footballs at the moment, and we have the coach. These are the guys, and maybe Edwin van Sar is also part of it. They look at the quality of the team, the squad, what is needed, etc. So they are responsible for that. And then you have, of course, a management board. There you have the financial director, the commercial director, all these kind of things. And then you have the supervisory board, who always checks for every transaction above 1 million. If we sign somebody, they have to really look at it and give their approval for it. And what happened, and we haven't seen that in a while, we saw with Ocampos, it was supposed to be a permanent transfer. It got blocked. We saw it with the goalkeeper, very difficult name, Vlachodimos, from Benfica, got blocked because too expensive for his age. We have other goalkeepers, for instance. With Ocampos, it was also, he's 28, no resale value. Why would we spend? I heard Mike Verwij from Telegraaf saying the total package would be something like 40, 45 million. So the supervisory board basically said no to it. A lot of fans, initial reaction also on Twitter was like, no, how can the supervisory board do this? Do they only care about money? And this stems, of course, from the fact that also the management, so not the supervisory board, but the management overruled the technical heart, the football people, because Schreuder and Hamstra and Huntelaar didn't want to sell Anthony, not even for 100 million, but they got overruled by the management officials. So if you compare all these things together, What's your take on this, and how can we prevent this from happening again? What do you think? What do you think is the main issue here? Ajax, go ahead.
Thanks. The main issue here, Juan, is I'm not disagreeing with the board with blocking those transfers, because I can understand the reasoning they have for not doing it, or not wanting to do it. The Anthony situation I can understand also, because it's a lot of money and they have to look at that side also and keep track of that part of the club also. They're not there for nothing. But what I do have a problem with is the communication within our club. I do not know where it goes wrong, but if you have Huntelaar, Hamstra, Schreuder, and Van der Sar, and you have the supervisory board, I cannot believe that in a professional run club like Ajax, that it has to come to the last moments of a transfer window to actually tell them that you will not approve it. Where is the communication? You could have used that time, those last few days, to go for other targets that are agreed on, that both the technical heart and the supervisory board agrees on, that it would be an asset to the team, and focus your time and money on that player. Now you spend both valuable time, because we lost out on for example, a keeper at the last moment, valuable time to get your new signings in, because at the last moment you hear, no, we're not agreeing with it. So what my problem is, and I do not know where it lies, the communication. Where is the communication? Why are you not talking with each other earlier and discussing, are we on the same page as a club? This is something I just do not understand, and I cannot blame only the supervisory board for it or the technical heart, because both parties are needed for communication. So at a professional club like Ajax, that this is possible, this baffles me. And the decision to get certain players, I can understand it from the technical side, but I can also understand it from the supervisory board, because they are both 28. They cost a lot of money. Ocampos is not a player that is cheap. He will have his salary. And if you sign him for multiple years, he will not have resale value. So I would rather be happy with a kind of a Bailey, for example. That would be a little bit expensive also, but is young still and can be of value to us in the future, because we do not need to forget also our identity a bit, like we talked about before. We are a resale club, we are a selling club to a certain extent. So you have to keep in mind, what am I investing my money in, and does it has a resale value for us? This is part of that identity. So if you buy a lot of players that will stay at the club, a one or two is okay, like a Tadic or maybe a Blind. But if you get like the upper hand with those players and they increase alongside the players that you can sell, this is a problem, because you do not have assets to sell anymore.
Yeah.
You understand? This is the way I view it.
Can I ask you one more question quickly, and we'll go to Sabi then after? You said, I understand Ocampos deal. If it would be Bailey, I would understand you buying him because he's younger, he has resale value.
Yeah.
So this also applies, or would you have made an exception for Ziyech?
I would have made an exception for Ziyech, because Ziyech, in my opinion, is a quality player, like top level quality player for Ajax standards. He knows the club. He knows what he can bring. We know what he can bring from last season. We saw it. And Ziyech could be a player like Tadic. Tadic will maybe retire and go into the coaching staff in the future. Ziyech is a player that can bring maybe a certain level until he's 32, 33, maybe 34. I do not know. But this is that kind of player that has the Ajax identity, that you can adopt a player like that. You can call him the player that we make an exception for the long run, but not for 44 or 48 million. That is too much.
Understood. Sabi, I want to go with you. Everything that Ajax touched upon, you can react on that. I want to add a couple of things to this as well, because there are a lot of news coming out, especially from our friends from the Telegraaf, as you know. So you guys are laughing. I'm serious. But
your buddy.
Okay. So there are a couple of things. They said, like I read, the supervisory board is looking at the squad. They're saying, look, to be very honest, we have a very big squad, and they're not happy with the recent development of the club, buying and spending a lot of money on not only transfer fees for getting players in, because if you look at this summer, for instance, we broke 2 records. If you include the bonuses, Bassi number 2, Bergwijn number 1. In the history of Ajax. But also in terms of, they're also looking at the youth academy. They're saying, look, we were spending there 10, 11 million, like we touched upon. Where are the chances for those players to come in? And then you have fans saying, yeah, but this is crazy talk, because look at Rensch, look at Timber, Taylor. So we have those youngsters. they're being too how do you call it? They're being too narrow-minded in that area. So I want to know, in your view, how do you see that? Do you agree with the supervisory board being critical on what's happening, or do you have another opinion? Do you think they should loosen up a little bit more and have more faith in the, like we said, technical heart?
Okay. To start with,
Yeah, go ahead.
to start with, I agree with Ajax to a certain extent because no, no, but he said some good words and also with regards to of course.
What do you mean some?
Yeah, okay, a little bit.
Let him talk. Sorry,
but
ahead.
with regards to Ocampos and so on, it's clear. I mean, it will be crazy to pay such an amount for a player that doesn't fit in Ajax system and it doesn't have that Ajax DNA, etc. Also with the Ziyech part, agree with him because we know him. We know what we bring in our home if he would come, not like the other place. And if we would buy Ocampos for if we would sign him for 4 years and he would be shitty, we would get like a Magajan 2.0 with a huge salary and no other club that wants to buy him.
Yeah.
So
just to be clear, you're not very positive about this deal about Ocampos, because the second time you're mentioning, I'm not really.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy about the player, about the player itself. With the deal, eventually, I mean it's a great deal. 1 year loan. At the end, we could see whether he's been a reinforcement for us or not. Okay. We can ditch him or we can sign him. So that's a great thing. No risk from our side, but mainly risk for Sevilla and the player himself. So that's a great deal. So from that perspective, props for the supervisory board to stop that first deal. But to get back on whether the supervisory board is doing a good job or whether they are right to do this with regards to their power, we actually need to look at the bylaws of the club to see what kind of powers does the supervisory board has. Because normally the supervisory board only has to control the management to see whether they are doing a good job. They're not allowed normally to overrule, maybe to sign off on a certain amount, but they can't overrule normally. So from that perspective, I can't really say whether it's correct or not. I've read the article with regards to Blind, who should not even involve himself with Ajax because he is with the Dutch national team, and it was agreed that he wouldn't involve himself with the club until the end of this year. But apparently, our friends of the Telegraaf said that he's overruling everything within the supervisory board is asking for his help, and he's overruling everything because the technical heart is a lightweight. So it's very amateuristic and definitely not done if this is actually correct. So if that would be the case, I don't know. If that would be the case, it's a serious problem, and there should be an evaluation on this at the end.
I will take it with a lot of salt. Not only a pinch of salt, but with a lot of salt, because I do not believe that story, to be honest.
Which part?
The part about Blind. Sorry, it's a nice story, and the Graaf sometimes creates fire where there only is smoke, So let's not see it as facts, because I do not believe the majority of that story, to be honest. But just my feeling.
Yeah,
you never know. How can you create fire if there is smoke, bro? You need fire.
No, you know what I understand. What we say in Dutch. Not create you're gonna laugh because I'm going to translate now. Not create an elephant out of a mosquito. So you know what I understand.
Cool.
Right. With regard to the second question, I forgot about it. Whether the supervisory board or I totally lost it. Sorry.
No. I just wanted to look. You're going into the bylaws and to see if they're doing their job correctly, yes or no. But in terms of, as a fan, do you understand the supervisory board? You said they have a controlling power. They're controlling, basically saying, no, we don't want these deals because we're looking at the financial package. We're looking at the technical part because, look, just to be clear, the supervisory board has a couple of different people in it. They're supposed to be independent, controlling power, independent, but one of them or two of them, but one of them we know, Blind used to be that depth. Now it's Audi Koster, I think. But so Blind and Audi Koster are there to control the technical part. So they're looking at the squad, the team. Is there enough youth coming through? These kind of things that we all touched upon. They are evaluating that and controlling that. And that's why, basically, I think from their perspective, they blocked it. How do you react on that?
No, twofolded. I mean, the policy of Ajax was always, you need to look, if a player gets sold, you need to look at your youth academy first. If you see that a youth player who is on top of the youth academy, who can replace that sold player on that specific position, if he is good enough, then we need to give him the benefit by playing him or giving him that contract and so on and so on. But if he is not strong enough, or if none of those players are strong enough for the first team, then you have to buy it. Then you have to buy a player. So if I look at the academy at this moment, there is not a real player there's no player who really outshines or outshines the in quality.
Let me ask you differently. All the players that we signed, are they all better than what we have in the youth academy? Potentially, looking into the potential.
Yeah, I look at the positions. Right back, I can't really tell, but we don't really have a proper right back, like who can play directly in as a starter. So yeah, I would agree with Bessie. I agree as well. As a left back, Vandal, he is a reinforcement, but we already have certain left backs, Saladin, Bas. So, and I would give perhaps one of those left backs a chance, but I can imagine Vandal coming in, but it's still 10 million, so it's more of a 50-50.
Yeah,
Grealish. Is a player that
we don't have a profile player like that. So yeah,
exactly. So Bergwijn, we need it. We don't really have a left winger. So eventually, these are potentially players that need to be bought. We don't have a lot of players available in our youth academy. We have midfielders. We got Misohui, Vos, Fitz Jim is coming up, so etc. But in defense, we have nobody. So the fact that we bought Kaplan as well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
All
so
right.
yeah, props for Hamster and Huntelaar for doing this, because when I look at the youth academy, I'm not really happy.
Juan, I want to react on something, but I want to give the word to PapiMento first because he's been silent for so long. So
no, react, and because I want to ask the same question to PapiMento, but I want to add a different thing also to it. So go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I do have one thing I have to say about the supervisory board and about the way we are viewing our club for the future. You know, we brought in Conceição, which is a great deal for the future. He is also a young player. We have certain players in our squad like Kudus and other players that also can play on the wing, that are also have a lot of quality. We still have Ihatara. Hopefully, I know there's a lot going on with him. Hopefully, he can be of an asset to the team too. You know, that these are all players still there. So I totally agree with the supervisory board, not the way all things went down, but that they blocked that kind of deal. Because if you sign Ocampos at 28 years old for 4 years with a huge salary, you're undermining your own plan for the future. Because the plan was Conceição would be the successor of Anthony in a year. So if you bring in Ocampos for 4 years on a permanent deal, what happens to Conceição?
Yeah,
he should be the successor in a year. So actually making it a loan deal with an option to buy him, not mandatory, is great business by the supervisory board that they intervened, because you are destroying the possibility of your own talent that you brought in. That is a huge talent for the future to shine, because you will have a player of 29, 30, 31 years old that you keep playing because you pay a lot of money for him. So this makes sense. So in that case, besides the way they communicate, I totally agree with it.
Okay, you wanted to react, Sahbi, quickly?
Yeah, because just one bit, we touched upon it already. We mentioned, and especially PapiMento mentioned, that the Ajax is being used as a stepping stone. Players coming from smaller leagues or from South America to come to Ajax and then to go to a bigger league. What we often see now is that players from a bigger league come to Ajax, which is quite strange. Sevilla, I mean, I can assume he has a proper salary already. Now he's coming to Ajax. Why? Because Sevilla normally plays also either Champions League or Europa League. It can only mean that Ajax has given him or proposed to him a bigger salary. So at the end, it's all about money and not specifically about the status of Ajax. Same apply for Bergwijn.
Quickly on that, because
and Bessie also.
Quickly on that, because I don't know if it's true or not, but again, I'm referring to our friends from Telegraaf. They have a podcast, and I listened to it just before coming into this our own show. And there was something very interesting that Mike Verwij said from Telegraaf. He said that the story goes that he was on the plane coming to Ajax for a permanent deal. Then it got blocked. Then he was going back to Sevilla. And then Sevilla was in a situation because, they have to register their players for the salary and these kind of things. And they were planning on signing Januzaj, right? So they had to get rid, sorry for the word, but they had to get rid, of course, or sell Ocampos. So last minute, Leicester came in. But according to Mike Verwij, he didn't want to go to Leicester. He still preferred to go to Ajax, even on a loan deal.
Yeah, I cannot imagine Leicester not giving him the same amount of salary or even more.
So I'm just countering.
They bought zero players this season. They bought zero players this season. They had the balance to do it.
Yeah, I'm just countering a little bit like, probably we gave him a better salary or something like that. But I think even maybe there were other things involved here in the sense that we promised him a lot of playing time as well. Guarantee, maybe something like that.
Yeah, but that will be wrong as well, right?
You don't know what goes on behind closed doors, bro. To be honest, so
it's all speculation. I'm wondering what PapiMento thinks.
Yeah, go ahead, Papi.
Your take on this whole situation, especially on what happened in the last few days. Also, the play, we didn't even touch upon that. Kudus, Alvarez. They came to the club, as we know, but they didn't train outside. They stayed inside and did their thing because, they were disappointed. They wanted to transfer. These kind of things. How do you look at this whole situation? What's your key takeaway? And do you agree with Ajax and Sahbi?
Yeah, I do agree with most of what Ajax and Sahbi said about, I like that they blocked it. The deals were not logical. I hoped, of course, for better communication, but I don't want to say the same things as Ajax. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I also feel that we kind of went away from being a youth development club, and we're buying more and more. If you look at Tadic, Blind, Berghuis now, Klaassen, those are players that are older. Yes, they do have the Ajax DNA, but they're also blocking youth progression and game time for those youth players. So you have to always consider that. And going for two players that are 28, and not a lot of rest value. I totally agree with that. And we need the loan deal. I think what they did by blocking was not nice, but blocking the deal forced us to get the loan deal, and it's a bridging year, so perfect. And about players not going to training, I don't like it. I hate it, actually. It makes me feel like they don't appreciate my club, and I have a big problem with it. But Anthony was the first one to do it successfully, and people thought, okay, we can do that. I'm happy Ajax said not for sale, and we kept them because we're going to need both of them very, very much. And I hope, Schreuder will give Kudus the game time he deserves. And we saw Alvarez, how he's playing lately. It's I cannot imagine a team without Alvarez at the moment.
Yeah. One last thing, guys. Touching upon what happened, in the transfer window. Some players going on strike, not going. Anthony went to United. Then the other two also kind of went on strike, didn't come to training, these kind of things. Do you think we picked up a little bit of a bad reputation in terms of players wanting to come to Ajax? Or do you think nothing happened? Players from South America or these talents will still come to our club? I see you reacting non-verbally. Ajax, go ahead. You're saying yes, no worries.
In the end, Juan, they see that two South American players went to Ajax and made a move to Manchester United for a lot of money, earning a lot of money. So in the end, this is the only thing you will see, not what happened, how it happened. Other quality players that we brought in from South America are now playing in the Premier League. This is the example they see, and this is maybe an example that they will follow those footsteps. But the situation that PapiMento just described about going on strike, not training, this is something really bad because we should not condone it. And the problem with the bid that came in, you do not have to. You have to think, see things in perspective. The mutiny, the strike didn't get rewarded. It was a bid that we could not refuse. And the bad thing about it is, it looks like what Anthony did helped, but I do not believe that it helped at all.
True.
What it did do is that he had to leave through the back door now instead of to the front door like Martinez. I can understand as a player that you go to the board and say, listen, this is something that I really want. Could you please try to listen and go into negotiation, and let's see if we can solve it that is good for all parties.
Yeah.
But not to training or going on a strike. This is a bridge too far for me. And I'm glad that the club decided to not condone it with Kudus, although I understand it a little bit, and with Alvarez, because I do not think they condoned it also with Anthony, but it is like something that got added to the price that we accepted, something bad that we have to deal with it.
Also, don't forget, they got overruled by the management to accept it. So,
because probably the technical heart would say, fuck this shit, we're not condoning it. Nobody is bigger than the club. And this is the downside of accepting such a huge offer, is if that is also going down. So I'm glad that the other ones have to stay at the club. And that's about it, bro.
Yeah, Sahbi, also your reaction on this, and also now you're hearing that maybe Ajax will start thinking about Alvarez or other, selling him after the World Cup. You're hearing these kind of news. For me, it's very strange. I don't know if it's true or not, but do you think it's logical for Ajax, or will be a scenario for Ajax in which, let's say, we will sell Alvarez in the winter January window?
That's definitely a possibility. I think they will aim for the summer, but eventually, if he would have a great World Cup, and the things going well in the Champions League and so on, they might opt for selling him, and with the funds available, getting a replacement.
You think Ajax will disrupt the season by selling one of our key players?
Yeah, because let me start by saying the 50 million is a huge amount, especially for the defensive midfielder, for Alvarez, huge amount. Normally, if that offer came in a month ago, they would probably have accepted it. So maybe they want to negotiate right now and accept that 50 million for the next season to be sold, because it can only decrease. I don't see it becoming more than 50 million, because it's a crazy amount. Chelsea has already got a replacement. They loaned Zakaria from Juventus. So if he does well, they might even go for Alvarez, but then for a lower amount. I don't know. But maybe they want to secure that bid by accepting it already, and that would be a win-win situation for all the parties.
All right. PapiMento, it's all to you, man. You can end this show by saying whatever it's on your mind. You can be positive, or you can be a little bit like the old PapiMento. Go ahead.
Yeah. Brace yourself.
Yeah, the positives is I'm very excited for the game tomorrow. A lot of new players that we have to eye test and figure out and see how they fit in the Ajax team. So that really gets me excited, Juan. And we're done with the transfer window. A big, huge boulder is lifted, from my shoulders. And, we always have to deal with these rebuilds. So for me, I don't get to a very low point anymore. It's just, I accept it, and then I see, okay, with the coming games, what is our potential this season? And I see it a little bit different than Sahbi, considering like the Alvarez one. If we sell him after the World Cup, it would be only if we're playing like Europa League, and they want to cash in or something because we didn't make it in the Champions League. but that's the only moment I see them selling mid-season, or else it will be next season. And yeah, I mean, there's enough excitement there. Bergwijn. I hope the veterans also start playing back to the level we expect from them. And
wait a minute,
let's
are they veterans or diplomats? I'm a bit confused now.
whatever you want to call them, the diplomats, I call them that because they can do whatever and they never get subbed. So I hope they don't have to be subbed because they're playing well, not because of their name.